In the deep cold void of space, far from the busy trade lanes and shining city worlds of the Galactic Council, a small alien scout ship drifted quietly. Its crew of 4 moved carefully, whispering to each other in nervous tones. They were not in this sector for trade or exploration. They were here because of a story. A story that no one wanted to believe, but no one dared to ignore. They called it the Dragon. Some said it was a war machine built by the lost humans long ago. Some said it was a ghost ship that hunted the stars. Others said it was only a myth, a warning tale told to young cadets to keep them from wandering too far. But for the crew of the scout ship, the story had become too loud to ignore. Strange signals had been detected in this dead sector, faint but repeating, like a heartbeat buried in darkness. Their orders were clear: investigate, record, and return. Do not approach too close. Do not wake what sleeps. Captain Relker, a tall insectoid with dark chitin plates, stared at the empty space ahead. Increase sensors to maximum range, he ordered. His voice was calm, but his antennae twitched in unease. The crew obeyed. Screens flickered, scanners hummed, and the ship's lights dimmed as more power was sent to the sensors. For hours they saw nothing but cold stars and drifting rocks. But then, the signal grew stronger. It was not a normal signal. It was old, broken but steady. It pulsed once every few minutes, a slow beat like the heart of something waiting. Origin? Asked Relker. Ahead, 2 million kilometers, replied the sensor officer, her thin blue fingers dancing across the controls. It is massive. No, enormous. Captain, it is not natural. Relker leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. Show me. The screen shifted, and a dark shape appeared against the distant light of a red giant star. At first, it looked like a shadow, a piece of broken moon or a drifting station. But as the ship crept closer, more details emerged. Hull plates black as the void. Edges sharp and smooth, like the claws of a great beast. No lights. No movement. Just a giant silent shape, sleeping among the stars. The crew whispered to each other now, their voices trembling. Could this be it? One asked. No one answered. They all knew what he meant. The Dragon. The name itself carried weight. In old archives, there were fragments of reports, entire fleets gone in minutes, colonies erased without warning, and in every witness's last transmission, the same description, a shadow with burning eyes and wings of fire. But this thing before them looked dead, cold, empty. Captain, the communication officer said slowly, there is something strange. I am picking up a code. Very faint. Very old. Translate it, Relker said, his voice tight. The officer worked, his tendrils tapping the console. Then the speakers cracked, and a broken voice echoed through the small bridge. It was not alien. It was not of their kind. It was a human voice. Ancient, but clear enough to freeze their blood. This is Dragon Unit, stand by. Then silence. The crew stared at each other. Humans had vanished from the galaxy centuries ago. History said they were wiped out after a great war. No human ship had been seen for 300 years. Yet here it was. A signature. A whisper from the grave. We should leave, muttered one of the crew. We should report this and leave. But Captain Relker hesitated. Curiosity was a dangerous thing, but so was fear. Send a probe, he ordered. The probe launched, a small ball of sensors drifting toward the giant dark ship. As it approached, the readings spiked wildly. Energy fields, unknown alloys, massive power cores sleeping beneath the hull. Captain, the probe is losing contact, the sensor officer shouted. The screen showed static, then nothing. The probe was gone. Not destroyed. Just gone. Then the dark ship moved. Not much, just a shift, like a great creature turning in its sleep. A low hum filled the void, vibrating through the scout ship's hull. Lights flickered. Systems glitched. The crew felt a chill in their bones. It's waking up, whispered the youngest crew member, his voice barely more than a breath. And then they saw it, a faint glow along the ship's sides, patterns like scars of war, lines of ancient writing that no alien could read. But one symbol stood out clear as a blade, the emblem of Earth Command. The humans had left their mark. All engines, reverse. Get us out of here. Relker shouted, but before the ship could turn, a beam of blue light scanned them from the shadow. It did not harm them. It only watched, as if the giant ship wanted to see who had come. The speakers cracked again. This time the voice was clearer, stronger, and colder. Who remembers the oath? The crew froze. The words echoed like a curse. Then silence returned. The dark shape drifted once more, its glow fading, but not fully. Something inside it had stirred. Something old. Something human. The scout ship fled into the darkness, its engines burning hard, leaving behind only static and fear. Captain Relker sent an emergency message to the council. The dragon is real. It sleeps no more. Across the galaxy, powerful leaders received the signal. Some denied it. Some panicked. Some smiled with cold calculation. But one truth now moved like a shadow among the stars: humanity was not gone. Their weapon still breathed. And if the dragon was awake, then the galaxy had little time left to prepare. The news of the dragon spread across the galaxy like a silent fire. It moved through encrypted channels, whispered meetings, and shadowed halls of power. In the great chambers of the Galactic Council, the leaders of 12 powerful species gathered under the cold white lights. Their faces were tense, their voices sharp, their fear barely hidden behind formal words. For centuries they had taught their people that humanity was gone. They had written it in history books. They had buried the truth under layers of official stories and carefully chosen lies. The human war, they said, was long over, and the humans were wiped out for their crimes. But now a single signal from the edge of space had broken that calm illusion. The dragon was awake. Councillor Threx of the Serac Dominion slammed his scaled fist on the table. "This is a trick. It must be," he hissed. "The humans are ashes. We made sure of it. No one survives 300 years in the dark." Across from him, Councillor Myril of the Shan Collective shook her thin silver head slowly. "And yet the signal is real. The mark is real. Our probes confirmed it. That ship bears human design, and it carries their old codes. You cannot erase what is written in the stars, Threx." A low murmur spread across the hall. Old memories returned to their minds: fleets burning, colonies falling, a war that had nearly broken the galaxy. Back then, the humans had fought like no other race. They were weaker, smaller, fewer, yet they struck like storms. They built weapons that learned, ships that adapted, and soldiers that fought with madness in their eyes. And at the center of that fury was the dragon, a warship said to hold the minds of 1,000 dead captains, a ship that never stopped hunting until its mission was done. But the record said the dragon was destroyed, burned in the final siege when the Council's combined armada surrounded Earth and turned it to glass. "Perhaps it is only a relic," said a soft voice from the corner. It was the historian Varen, a small frail being with pale skin and tired eyes. He had been summoned because his family kept the oldest records of the human war. Perhaps the dragon is just a drifting corpse, a machine left behind. Machines do not wake on their own after centuries. And yet it spoke. Myril cut him off sharply. It spoke with human voice. It asked who remembers the oath. "What oath, historian? Do your records tell us?" Varen hesitated, his fingers trembling as he opened an old holopad. There was something, an agreement never made public. At the end of the war, some human leaders surrendered, but they gave a warning. They called it the Oath of Silence. They said the war was not over, only paused. They said one day the truth would rise again, and when it did, the galaxy would face judgment. The hall grew colder. Some counselors laughed bitterly, but no one truly felt safe. "If this is true," whispered Councillor Zorth, his insect wings twitching, "then the humans planned this. They left the dragon behind like a seed of war." "Enough talk," Threx growled. "We must destroy it before it fully wakes." I will send a fleet. We will crush this ghost and show the galaxy that humans remain dead. And if you fail? Myril asked softly. Threx's jaws clicked, but he said nothing. In a distant chamber far from the council, a secret message was being prepared. The same signal that the scout ship had sent was being repeated across hidden networks. It reached smugglers, mercenaries, and forgotten veterans. Some trembled in fear. Others smiled in the dark. There were still those who remembered the humans, not as monsters, but as allies, friends, or saviors. Among them was an old retired war captain named Kellen. His skin was scarred, his left eye replaced with a dull mechanical orb, and his memories haunted by burning skies. When he received the signal, he closed his hands slowly and whispered, "So, they kept their promise." Far away, the dragon remained silent, its dark hull drifting like a dead star, but every hour its systems grew warmer. Deep inside, ancient human codes stirred, lines of forgotten language running like rivers of fire. The galaxy watched, but no one dared to speak the truth aloud. If the dragon truly carried the will of humanity, then the war had never really ended. It had only been sleeping. Back in the council chamber, the argument grew hotter. Some wanted to study the ship, to learn its secrets. Others demanded immediate destruction, no matter the cost. A few, very few, whispered a dangerous thought. Perhaps the humans were right, perhaps the galaxy owed them something, perhaps the history they taught was a lie. But no one dared say that openly. Not yet. In the end, the council voted for a middle path. They would send a strike fleet, not to destroy but to capture. To study. To control. Threx volunteered his Dominion fleet, eager for glory, eager to erase the ghost. "We will bring back its core," he declared. "And if it resists, we will burn it to dust." But as the meeting ended, Varen the historian lingered, staring at the cold star map where the dragon's signal pulsed like a heartbeat. He remembered the old human words, recorded in secret files. "The dragon sleeps where the galaxy betrayed us. It will not wake until the truth is near." He felt a chill crawl through his thin body. The truth. What truth? What did they hide all those years ago? And why did the humans leave only one ship, a ship that remembers? As the counselors departed, the stars beyond the chamber seemed to flicker strangely, as if watching. The dragon had whispered once, and already the galaxy trembled. In the far reaches of space, hidden gates stirred, and encrypted channels buzzed with a name that had been forbidden for centuries: Earth. The cold dark sector where the dragon drifted was silent for many days after the scout ship fled, but silence never lasted long in a galaxy filled with fear and ambition. And soon the stillness was broken by the arrival of the first strike fleet sent by the council. Their ships came in tight formation, silver hulls glinting under the dim red light of the distant star. They were confident, loud, and certain that their weapons would be enough to tame. An ancient ghost at the front of the fleet was the flagship Dominion's Claw, a massive cruiser under the command of Admiral Threx, the same proud and angry leader who had promised the council that he would capture or destroy the dragon with his own hands. His voice thundered over the comms as the fleet approached. "Remember, soldiers, this is only a relic of the past, a dead machine. We strike fast, we take its core, we return with victory." But his words did not erase the unease in his crew. The closer they came, the more their instruments failed. Sensors flickered, strange whispers crawled through their comm channels, and the dragon ahead of them remained dark and silent like a waiting predator. Finally, they reached the edge of the field where the ancient ship slept. It was larger now than they expected, far larger, its hull stretching like the skeleton of a dead god, its black surface reflecting no light, only swallowing it, as if the void itself had grown a skin. Admiral Threx ordered his ships to spread out to encircle the target. Beams of scanning light lanced across the void, touching the ancient hull, but every beam bent, faded, or vanished as if the ship refused to be seen. "All readings are wrong, Admiral," one officer said. "The mass is changing, the dimensions are shifting, it does not obey normal space." Threx growled. "Nonsense, it is tricks of old tech. Prepare boarding teams, we will cut into its shell." But before the teams could launch, the dragon moved. At first, it was only a flicker, a ripple across its dark plates, then lines of red light. crawled along its sides like old wounds, opening one by one, forming patterns no alien could read, but every soldier felt the same chill. Those were not just marks, they were symbols of war, the same symbols that had burned across human fleets long ago. Then came the sound, a deep pulse that shook the void itself. A wave of invisible force rolled out from the dragon, striking every ship in the fleet. Power cores trembled, shields failed, lights went dark. For a moment the entire fleet floated dead in space. Only the stars watched, and the ancient ship pulsed again, this time with a voice. It was human, raw and cold, and full of weight. Who remembers the oath? The words did not come from speakers, they came through metal, through bone, through thought. Every being in that fleet heard it inside their skulls, and none could answer. Some tried to fire their weapons, plasma bolts, torpedoes, missiles, but as soon as they left their launchers they turned to dust, as if the void swallowed them. The dragon did not fire back, not yet. It only moved forward slowly, turning its vast shape to face the flagship, its hull plates shifting like scales of some great beast awakening. The crew of Dominion's Claw scrambled to restart engines, to raise defenses, but every system refused commands. "Admiral, it is locking us in," an officer cried. Threx snarled and slammed his fist. "Fire everything." The order went out, but again nothing worked, only sparks and static. The dragon's voice came again, quieter but sharper. "You should not have come." Then it roared, not with fire but with energy. A wave of blue light burst from its core, sweeping across the fleet like a storm. Every ship that it touched went dark, drifting powerless in the cold. Every soldier felt their hearts race, their vision blur, their memories flicker. Some saw flashes of earth burning, others saw oceans of stars falling. The dragon was not just a ship, it was something more, a memory, a weapon built with minds of the dead at its heart. After the wave passed, silence returned. The dragon did not destroy the fleet, it left them alive, powerless and afraid. Slowly, it turned away, drifting back toward the dead star, as if bored with their weakness. But its lights did not fade this time, they burned faint red across its armor, a warning, a promise. Admiral Threx stared at the giant shadow, his pride broken, his fleet floating like toys around a sleeping monster. He opened a channel to the council, his voice cracked for the first time. "It is awake, and we cannot touch it." Across the galaxy the signal spread again, this time with more power, more clarity, more fear. Worlds that had forgotten the human name whispered it once more. Merchants closed their routes, soldiers sharpened their claws, leaders held secret meetings, and in the hidden corners of space some very old codes began to stir. A few listened to the message not as a threat, but as a call. They remembered the oath, they remembered the betrayal, and they remembered the truth that the council had buried for centuries. The dragon had roared not to kill but to warn. Its first roar had shaken fleets, and now the galaxy knew the old war was not over, it had just begun to breathe again. And somewhere beyond the outer rim, far from any charted lane, a faint signal answered the roar. 3 words carried on an ancient human frequency: "Stand by, return soon." The roar of the dragon had shaken the galaxy, and now the council could no longer hide behind old lies. Fleets were lost, pride was broken, fear was spreading like poison in every star system. And yet the powerful ones did not stop their games. They gathered again in the great chamber of the council, their faces grim, their words heavy. This time no one argued whether the dragon was real. Everyone had seen the recordings, every leader had felt the pulse that drained their ships across 100 light years. Admiral Threx returned in shame, his fleet floating behind him like dead husks. His report was simple: the dragon did not attack for conquest, it attacked to warn, and it left them alive. That made the council even more afraid, for a weapon that kills without killing is one that chooses its own time. "We cannot wait any longer," Threx growled, his eyes burning with anger. "It grows stronger every moment we hesitate. It learns our tactics, our fear. We must send everything we have, capture it if we can. But if not, burn it from existence." Myril of the Shan Collective folded her silver hands, her voice soft but cutting. "And if you fail again, Admiral, what then? Will you burn our fleets too in your pride?" The dragon is not just a machine, it carries something older, something that remembers. The historian Varen was summoned again, his pale fingers clutched old files, his voice was shaking but steady. "I have found more records hidden deep in the forbidden archives." The dragon was not a single weapon, it was part of a human program called Sentinel. Each Sentinel carried the minds of fallen captains and soldiers. They were made to wake only when the truth of their war was denied, when the galaxy forgot the oath. The room fell silent, the word oath now echoed in every hall. No one spoke of what that oath truly was, not yet, but some began to guess betrayal lay at its heart. "Enough of this history," another counselor barked. "We deal with the present. The humans are gone, their world is ash, their colonies dust. If this dragon is all that remains, we will hunt it with a net of fire." And so the hunters were called. Great fleets from the Serac Dominion, the Shan Collective, the Triumvirate Swarm, and the Carthan Empire all sent their ships not out of unity, but out of fear. No one trusted the others, everyone wanted the glory of slaying the ghost, yet everyone feared being the first to die. Admiral Threx was placed again in command, not because of his skill, but because no one else dared to take the burden this time. His orders were cold, Surround it, cut it from the stars, if it resists break it open, if it runs mark its path. But even as fleets were prepared, whispers spread through the lower ranks. Soldiers spoke of the dragon with a strange tone, not only fear, but also respect. Many had seen the old fragments of the human war. They knew the humans fought not for conquest but for survival. They remembered stories of alliances broken, promises betrayed, and victories stolen by treachery. A seed of doubt began to grow. If the dragon was truly human, then maybe the war was never as clean as their history books claimed. In dark bars and hidden channels, some began to call it not a monster, but a guardian, a warning sent to remind the galaxy of its sins. The council ignored these whispers. They armed their ships with the newest weapons: disruptor torpedoes, void nets, and gravity lances. They even prepared experimental codes to shut down ancient human tech, but none of them knew if any of it would work, for no one truly understood what the dragon was. Some said it was alive, part machine, part mind. Others said it was a prison carrying the wrath of a billion ghosts. And far away beyond their sensors, the dragon drifted silently, its red scars now burning brighter, its shape changing, plates folding and wings of black metal spreading like a sleeping beast stretching before the hunt. Inside its heart an ancient voice counted the fleets approaching. It felt their signals, it read their codes, and it waited. It did not flee. It wanted them to come, because its mission was not only to survive, its mission was to remember, and to make others remember too. On a cold moon near the border, a small group of old veterans watched the council fleets move. They were not young anymore, their bodies carried scars of the old war. One of them, an aged pilot named Eric, whispered to his comrades, "They think they are the hunters, but they are only prey. The dragon will not fall to their tricks. It never did before, and it will not now." His words were carried by a secret channel, a human channel, one that the council thought was dead. In a distant dark space where no star shone, a signal answered, "We are coming, keep the fires low." And so the hunters gathered, their nets glowing, their engines burning, their pride heavy as iron. They believed they were the masters of the galaxy. They believed the humans were ghosts, but the void had already chosen its side. The dragon watched the hunters, and the galaxy held its breath. The hunters came like a storm, their fleets stretching across the cold stars. Hundreds of warships from every corner of the galaxy, their engines burning, their weapons armed, their leaders shouting brave words that hid the fear in their hearts. Admiral Threx stood on the bridge of his flagship Dominion's Claw, his eyes fixed on the dark shape ahead. The dragon was there, still drifting near the dying red star, but now it no longer looked like a broken relic. Its hull was alive, with faint red lines moving like blood through veins. Its massive wings of black metal were half unfolded, as if testing the void. The hunters spread around it like wolves around a silent beast. Nets of gravity fields and disruptor mines closed the exits. Their comms crackled with commands and prayers. Some believed this would be the day the ghost was ended. Others whispered this would be the day the galaxy woke from its lies. For a long moment nothing moved. The fleets waited, weapons armed, fingers ready, but the dragon did not attack. It only turned its massive head-like prow toward the center of the fleet, and a low hum began. It was not a sound carried by air, but a vibration that touched every ship, every mind. Lights flickered, hulls trembled. The hum became a pulse, the same ancient pulse that had struck before, but stronger this time. Systems dimmed, alarms screamed. Then a voice came, clear and cold, not through speakers but through thought. "This vessel remembers. This war is not done." Admiral Threx barked orders: "Fire all weapons, bring it down." Hundreds of beams, missiles, and lances flew toward the dragon. The void burned with their light, but when they touched its hull they bent and vanished as if swallowed by a wall of glass. Some exploded, some faded, some turned and flew back, striking the hunters themselves. Chaos erupted, ships crashed into each other, gravity nets tore apart. Threx shouted for control, but his voice was lost in the storm. Then the dragon moved for the first time, truly moved. Its wings unfolded fully, stretching wider than the largest carrier. Its engines lit with a pale blue fire, silent but terrible. It surged forward, not fast but unstoppable. Every ship in its path was pushed aside by an invisible force, and then its weapons came alive. Lines of energy glowed along its sides, ports opened revealing ancient cannons, but they did not fire to destroy. Instead beams of strange light lanced out, cutting engines, disarming guns, freezing systems whole. Destroyers went dark without a single shot fired. The dragon passed through the heart of the fleet like a shadow in a forest, and everywhere it went silence followed. Some captains begged for mercy, some cursed it, some simply stared as their screens went black. On the bridge of Dominion's Claw Threx watched helpless, his pride turning to ash. "Why does it not finish us?" his officer whispered. "Because," another voice said from the dark corner of the bridge, "it is not here to kill." Everyone turned. An old prisoner they had taken from a forgotten outpost spoke with a thin smile. "It is here to remember, and to make you remember." Before anyone could question him, the dragon spoke again, louder now, filling the stars. "You broke the oath, you burned the cradle, you silenced the truth. We do not forget." Then a sudden surge of energy erupted from its core, a wave that swept across the fleet. Every system went dark, every engine died, even the stars seemed to dim for a moment. The hunters floated like stones, their nets torn, their weapons cold, their courage gone. The dragon turned slowly, its red scars now burning bright like open eyes, and then without warning it vanished. A fold of space opened, and the great ship slipped through, leaving only a trail of broken fleets behind. Admiral Threx slumped in his chair, his claws digging into the metal. "It let us live," he whispered. "It wanted us to see." Across the galaxy the signal of their defeat spread faster than light. Worlds that had doubted now believed. Smugglers spoke its name, merchants closed their routes. Soldiers whispered in fear, and in dark forgotten channels a response was sent, not by aliens but by something older, a human code, cold and clear: "Stand by, the stars are opening." Far beyond the rim and hidden gates massive engines stirred, ancient shipyards awoke, and silent watchers who had waited for 3 centuries began to move. The dragon was no longer a sleeping relic, it was a herald, and its awakening meant only one thing: the return was coming. Across the galaxy panic grew like a rising storm. The hunters had failed, the dragon had awakened, and the fleets that went to cage it returned as drifting wrecks, their weapons silent, their pride broken. The council tried to calm the chaos, they broadcast messages of control and strength, they called the battle a minor setback, but no one believed their empty words anymore. Traders avoided the core lanes, soldiers whispered in dark barracks, leaders argued. Behind closed doors the people felt the tremor of something ancient moving through the void. Then one night in the heart of the council capital, a strange signal appeared. It was not sent through their networks, it was not a council code, it was older than their alliances, older than their wars. It carried a pattern that no alien system could fully read, but every machine paused when it passed, every sensor turned toward its source. The historians recognized it at once, it was human encryption. 300 years old, yet perfect, as if it had been waiting all this time. The message was short, only 3 words: "Stand by, return soon." The council chamber fell into uproar. Some shouted it was a trick, others demanded to trace the origin, but the signal did not come from any known world, it came from beyond the mapped stars, a region where old maps said Earth once stood. Admiral Threx slammed his claw on the table. "This is war, they are coming back." The dragon was only the first blade, the rest will follow. We must unite now, or we will be hunted one by one. Myral of the Shan Collective did not answer at once. Her silver eyes stared at the old map where Earth was marked only as a dead ash world. "And what if we are the ones who started this war, Admiral? What if they come not to conquer, but to collect a debt?" Her words chilled the hall. The historian Varen stepped forward, his pale hands clutching a data slate. "I have found the rest of the oath. It was sworn by the last human council before their fall. They said the galaxy betrayed them. They said the truth was buried under false peace, and they sent their warships into the dark, not to die but to wait until the lie was too heavy to carry." Silence followed his words for a long time, and in that silence 1,000 secret thoughts were born. Some counselors remembered old whispers of burned colonies that were never explained. Some remembered the day the human fleets were declared traitors without a proper trial. Some remembered trade routes stolen, and inventions claimed as their own. The signal kept repeating across hidden channels. Smugglers heard it, miners heard it, old satellites in forgotten orbits turned their eyes and blinked in answer, and far across the stars a faint movement began. Ancient gates long sealed by dust, powered up engines older than empires hummed. The dragon was not alone, it had always been a messenger, a sentinel waiting for the command, and now the command had been sent. Fleets that once belonged to humanity stirred from their hiding places, massive shapes cloaked in cold fields began to drift toward the edge of the known galaxy. Each carried the same mark, the same burning emblem that had been seen on the dragon's side. The council tried to block the signal, they shut down stations, they sent hunters after the echoes, but it was too late. The message had already crossed borders, it had reached old friends, old enemies, and even those who had once betrayed them. In the underworld of the Carthan Empire, a merchant named Relka listened to the code and smiled. "They are coming back, and the stars will burn." On a lonely mining station, a child born of mixed blood touched the screen where the human code pulsed and whispered, "I knew the stories were true." In the deep cold where no star burned, the dragon moved again, its wings stretched wider, its hull glowing with red veins. It had sent the call, and now it waited. It did not rush, it did not strike, it only marked the path for the return. On its bridge where no living crew walked, ancient minds whispered to each other. Their voices old, their purpose sharp. The cradle was burned, the oath was broken, the truth will be spoken. The galaxy held its breath, not knowing whether the return of humanity meant vengeance or judgment, or both. The council sent a desperate message to all member worlds: prepare for possible conflict, defend your borders, report all unknown signals. But their words sounded hollow, for in their hearts they knew something the people did not. The war 300 years ago had not ended with honor. It had ended with betrayal, and betrayal has a long shadow now. That shadow was moving. The message from Earth was not a threat, it was a promise, and somewhere beyond the rim where maps turned to empty black the first human warship answered with a whisper, "We hear, we come." The galaxy was no longer quiet. The signal from the dragon had torn the veil that covered the past, and now the truth began to leak like cracks in an ancient wall. On many worlds old records were unsealed, forgotten files, whispered secrets of a war that was never what the council said it was. People began to ask questions they were not supposed to ask. Who fired the first shot? Why were the humans really hunted? Why did the council erase whole archives and replace them with stories of peace? The historian Varen worked without sleep, his thin hands moving through forbidden data, his eyes red from long nights. What he found chilled him deeper than any cold space. The humans were not the first to attack, they were the first to resist. Long before the war, a treaty had been signed, promises of shared resources, trade, and technology. But greed grew in the heart of the council. Human colonies were rich, their lands full of rare elements, their ships fast, their minds sharp. Soon whispers began that the humans were too independent, too ambitious, too strong to control. The council decided to break them. They staged incidents, planted evidence, called them aggressors, and when the humans resisted, the full weight of the galaxy fell upon them. What followed was not a war of defense, but a war of erasure. The humans fought with everything they had, and almost won. They built the dragon's warships with minds of fallen captains. They fought until their skies burned. But at the end, their allies betrayed them. Gates were closed, supplies cut off, and Earth was declared lost. Yet in their final hour they made a promise, they swore an oath. The galaxy will forget, but we will remember. We will return, not to rule but to reveal. And now that oath was waking. Varen took his findings to the council, but they silenced him. His message was blocked, his name removed from reports. He went into hiding, moving through shadow ports, spreading the truth one whisper at a time. Meanwhile the dragon kept moving, its great black shape gliding through sectors once full of council power, now silent as fleets pulled back in fear. On each world it passed, systems flickered, old memories surfaced, strange dreams touched sleeping minds. Some woke screaming, seeing visions of cities burning and skies torn by fire. The council called it human trickery, but deep down many began to doubt. In the cold outer rim a group of smugglers found a derelict human satellite still active after 3 centuries. Inside it, a recording played, a human voice, calm and steady. If you hear this, then the oath is near. Remember who took your freedom, remember who wrote your history with ash. The smugglers spread the message, and more worlds stirred. Admiral Threx grew desperate, his fleets now refused to follow him blindly. Some captains disobeyed orders, some vanished to join the shadows. Myril of the Shan Collective kept silent, but her ships moved carefully, never joining the hunts. She knew the tide was turning, the shadow of the old war was stretching over the stars again, and with it came choices. Everyone feared, what would the humans do when they finally returned? Would they burn the empires that betrayed them, or would they open the truth and let the galaxy judge itself? In the dark halls of the Carthan Empire, a secret council met. They had been the first to profit from the human downfall. They built their wealth on stolen human designs. Now they armed their borders, trembling like thieves caught at the door. In the deep black, the dragon whispered to no one. Its red scars glowed, its silent engines hummed each day. It sent more signals each day. Hidden gates awoke, old fleets moved like ghosts through forgotten paths. They did not come fast, they came like a storm gathering over a still sea, and everyone knew once the storm broke there would be no time to hide. The stars were restless, the signal from the dragon had reached its farthest echo, and now the galaxy held its breath, waiting for what would come next. Then one cold night in the void beyond the mapped sectors, the first of them appeared, the return fleet. It came like a silent tide, black hulls gliding through the dark, no banners, no signals, only the old human emblem burning faintly on their sides. They did not rush, they did not announce themselves, but every sensor that touched them felt the weight of their presence. They were old warships, but not dead. Their armor was scarred yet alive, their weapons ancient yet ready. Each ship carried whispers of forgotten battles, names long erased from history, now glowing again on their flanks. The council's outer patrols saw them first and turned away without firing. Orders were to engage unknown fleets, but fear was stronger than duty. One scout ship sent a message before vanishing into the black. They are here, and they are many. Soon more fleets appeared, emerging from hidden gates, from deep space stations buried under ice worlds, from rings of dead moons. They gathered like shadows, forming a shape that had not been seen in 300 years. A human armada, not to conquer, not yet, but to stand. Their presence alone shook the council. Worlds merchants stopped their trade, citizens asked questions, leaders held secret meetings. Admiral Threx slammed his claws against the war map. If we do not strike now, we will lose every corridor, every planet. They will choke our supply lines before they even fire a shot. But Myril of the Shan Collective spoke softly. Strike them, and you confirm their story. Leave them, and you show your fear. There is no winning this with weapons. The people already listened to their whispers. The historian Varen, hidden in a far mining belt, received a secret transmission from the fleet itself, a human voice, old but clear. "We do not come for war, we come for the truth. Prepare your worlds, the storm is not our doing, it is yours." Varen sent the message through black channels, risking his life as hunters closed in on him, and everywhere he sent it the people stirred on the fringe planets. Some hung the old human flags from their towers in secret, others sabotaged council relays, so the fleet's message could pass untouched. The dragon itself now moved among them like a leader, its great wings unfolding, its red scars burning brighter. It was no longer a lone predator, it was a herald, a voice of a nation once betrayed, now awake. The council tried to block the gates, they sent drones to collapse the routes, but for every gate they sealed, two more opened, as if the humans had known this war long before it began. In the deep nights of space, old allies who once betrayed them now faced a choice: kneel or flee. The Carthan Empire began to move its treasures off-world, its rulers trembling, their citizens angry, asking why the old betrayal was hidden from them. Fleets that had once sworn to protect the galaxy now split, some joining the return fleet in secret, others deserting their posts. One by one the pillars of the council began to crack, and through those cracks the truth shone colder than any weapon. The return fleet did not need to fire to win it, only needed to be seen, and with each passing day more worlds stopped fearing it, and started watching it, waiting for what the humans would say next, for they had not spoken their full message, yet only the promise, "Stand by, return soon." But now the stars whispered a new phrase: "We are here, we remember." And with that whisper the night grew heavy, for everyone knew the storm had only begun. The galaxy stood on the edge of something it could not name. The return fleet had not fired a single shot, yet whole systems were already changing. The council's commands began to break apart like old stone under heavy rain. Merchants refused to carry their supplies, soldiers questioned their orders, and leaders whispered to each other behind sealed doors, hoping someone else would act first. The Carthan Empire sent a fleet to block a human passage, but it vanished without a trace, no wreckage, no signals. Just silence. The rumor spread that the humans had taken them without a fight, that they had technology no one could match. Admiral Threx grew more furious. Every day his orders became wild: attack here, retreat there, accuse this world of treason, punish that sector for doubt. But the more he struck the more resistance grew. The people were no longer afraid of punishment, they were afraid of being on the wrong side of history. Myril of the Shan Collective sent secret envoys to meet with the humans, her words careful, her tone respectful. She remembered the old treaties, she remembered the betrayal, and she feared what the humans would reveal. The historian Varen moved from one hidden base to another, carrying with him the recordings, the files, the evidence of what really happened centuries ago. He sent them to every corner of the galaxy where the council's grip was weak, and there the truth began to take root like fire on dry grass. It spread fast. It burned faster. Worlds that had once called humans criminals now asked for their return, some even pledged loyalty in secret. The dragon watched all this from the dark void, its great frame like a shadow over a dying star, its red scars glowing like old wounds that refused to close. It did not speak much, but when it did the message was always the same: "We remember, you may forget, but we do not." The return fleet began to circle the core worlds slowly, not attacking, only watching. Their presence was enough. The council held emergency sessions there. Chambers filled with fear, some argued to negotiate, others demanded full war, but the old betrayals tied their hands too tightly. If they called for peace they admitted their crimes, if they chose war they risked losing everything at once. The people in the streets began to chant old human songs, some even painted the human emblem on their walls. At night entire sectors stopped paying taxes to the council, and sent them to hidden human accounts instead. Supply lines, twisted alliances broke. The galaxy was unraveling, not with battles, but with truth. The humans had turned history itself into a weapon sharper than any blade. Admiral Threx sent one last desperate message: "Destroy the dragon, and the fleet will scatter." But no one moved. His fleets refused his orders, his allies cut their ties, and his name became a curse in his own homeworld. The humans did not rush, they waited, they watched, they built their gates, they spread their messages, and in the deep silence before the storm one more signal was sent, this one clearer than any before: "We are coming to the core, not for revenge, for truth. When we arrive, choose your side, because the stars will remember who stood and who hid." The galaxy shivered, for the great unraveling had begun, and no one could weave it back. The galaxy was silent when the humans finally moved. The return fleet, which had circled the core like a patient hunter, now advanced, its black hulls cutting through the stars like blades of night. They did not rush, they did not threaten, they simply entered the heart of the galaxy where the council sat trembling behind their walls. The dragon led them, its red scars glowing brighter than ever, each light on its frame a memory of a war the galaxy wanted to forget but could not hide any longer. When the First human ship entered orbit over the council world. No weapon fired, no fleet blocked their path. The gates opened, and the people filled the streets to watch, some with fear, some with hope. The council tried to speak, tried to call for unity, but their voices were weak, their lies already broken. The historian Varen stood among the humans, now his work complete. He had risked his life to bring the truth to light, and now he watched as that truth became a shield, stronger than any warship. Myril, of the Shun Collective, came forward too. Her ships stood down, her words calm. She spoke not as an enemy, but as one who wished to make things right. The humans did not ask for surrender, they asked for memory. They showed the archives, the hidden orders, the forged wars. They opened the sealed gates of history, and let the galaxy see what had been stolen from them centuries ago. And when the people saw, they did not scream, they did not riot, they simply turned their eyes on the council with cold silence. The dragon spoke at last, its voice like thunder over a still ocean. You erased us, you burned our homes, you hunted our children, and called it peace. Now we return not to rule, but to remind this galaxy was built on a lie no more. The council broke apart that day, some fled, some begged, some fought, but their power was already dust in the wind. The Carthan Empire fell first, its rulers arrested by their own soldiers, its banners torn down sector by sector. Others followed not by invasion but by choice. They opened their worlds to human fleets, offered treaties real this time, and slowly the galaxy shifted. The humans did not take thrones, they built roads, they opened gates, they rebuilt lost colonies, and where the dragon passed it left messages of warning and promise both. We do not come for revenge, we come for the dawn. And dawn did come slowly, like the first light over a dead planet. New alliances were made, not of fear, but of respect. Old enemies became cautious partners. The return fleet stayed in the stars, not as conquerors but as guardians, watching, always reminding, always. The truth of the old war became law in the archives, no longer a whisper, but a stone. Every world had to read it, every student had to learn it, and so the great silence that had covered the past was gone. The galaxy was no longer what it was raw, scarred, uneasy, but alive, and for the first time in centuries it had a chance to heal. As the dragon turned away from the council world, its red glow fading into the black, Varen asked the question everyone feared, is it over? And the captain answered, the war ended long ago, what we fight now is forgetting. And with that the fleet vanished into the gates, leaving behind not an empire but a memory that could no longer be erased. This was the final dawn, not of victory but of truth.